And really pleased to be joined here today by the one and only Matt Wilson of Iventis. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
So anyone who wants to ask a question. Anyway, moving on. Over to you, Matt.
Why, thank you very much. So yes, I'm Matt Wilson. I'm the Business Development Director for Iventis. I've worked in events for about 22 years, 8 years of those being in event technology. And I'm here really to help you understand where to get the best benefit from working with our visual event planning software. So how Iventis works is by giving you a tool for teams to create event site plans, for them to share those plans, to collaborate within the platform, and then to analyze the information that the platform can make available to you. Now, who's Iventis for? Well, our clients have historically been in the major events market, but ultimately any event of any size, of any format, can work with our planning tool. Historically, we've worked with organisers such as the Olympic Committee, the Commonwealth Games. We've worked with marathon organisers, festivals, large-scale trade show exhibitions and conferences. And really they're using one of kind of three major modules within our platform. The first being the Iventis Planner, which is a GIS, geospatial mapping tool, the Iventis Scheduler, and the Iventis Digital Twin. So what I'll do, we'll dive straight into the platform really, just to give you a bit of an orientation. If anyone's got any questions during this, by the way, send them over. So the first thing is giving everyone an area within which they can create plans. So we've got a plans section here, which will give you your own personal working space. The idea being that if you want to trial and test things out, you've got the ability to do it in a way that doesn't affect a live plan for something, say, like Dubai 2020 Expo, which would probably be horrific and scary for the organizer. So in here, I've got a mock-up that I've created, and just as a preface on this, I started with Iventis 2 days ago. So in terms of usability, it's extremely simple to kind of get to grips with. So this is a plan I've created for the Farnborough International Air Show. And really what it will give you is a view of the site, a list of attributes on the left-hand side, and various tools on the right-hand side that will help you work with the plan. So the first place you're going to want to start off with really is your map area. So here, we're quite fortunate within the Iventis platform. We can bring in real satellite imagery. So here we've got the Bing satellite, street map. We've also got a light version of the street map as well, which just helps if obviously you're working on site and signal isn't fantastic. It's less attributes and less information to kind of bring into the system. And then in the UK, we're really fortunate that we can bring in OS, Ordnance Survey information. Now that's really useful because not only is it extremely accurate, and of course this is a GIS program, but it will allow us to kind of bring in kind of the terrain of the area as well, so we can actually see the world in very realistic 3D and see kind of all the hills and the roads, etc. So really, really useful for when you're planning important live events. Now, if I take us into that 3D terrain here. So what I've got, once I've chosen my map, I can have my list of attributes here, which, as you can see, there's quite a few things that we've added in terms of the layers. So we can add in perimeter control, zoned areas, traffic, pedestrian routes, infrastructure. Anything that you need to organize an event can be put into here in 3D so that teams can use this to really plan the operational delivery of the event, but also the kind of commercial delivery of it as well. So it's giving, from a sales team's perspective, a really accurate picture of what that event will look like. And from an operational team's perspective, a very, very accurate, real-time platform that everyone can work in, that mitigates the risks of errors because everyone's working in one platform. If we then look at, say, adding some assets into this, so here, got a lovely, great big airfield. I've dropped in a couple of aircraft because it is Farnborough Air Show, but I've also got some 3D pavilions here. I've also put some nice security barriers just for a touch there. Some 3D vehicles. So if I wanted to add, say, an extra layer in, I might want to choose vehicles. I might want to choose a 48-seat coach, for example. I'm going to add that to my plan. Choose an area. Drop in my vehicle, and away we go. So it's extremely simple. I can also then add attributes to that and make custom attributes as well. So I can add freeform entry text, numbers, tick boxes, anything that can then be reported on in the back end. So where this becomes extremely powerful is when we're looking at things like bills of goods and basically understanding what infrastructure we physically need on the live event. How do we then procure it? Who's going to be responsible for delivering it? All that type of stuff. So it's really, really useful to have that. So, for example, if we go here and look at workforce, I can have a look at my workforce assets, which are all based here on gate B, doing security, and I can actually then have an attribute table, open up that attribute table. I can see here on the left-hand side, got a workforce. They're all responsible for door scanning. They're all going to have one radio. Now, if we expand that up to major events where, of course, there's lots of staff, from an operational standpoint, that's really, really good in terms of understanding costs of actually running the event and physically who's going to be there as well. Now, when it comes to collaborating, of course, I'll pop out of here for a second. We've then got team workspaces. So this might very well be where if we choose a festival, so we choose the Chicago Festival, I might very well have suppliers that want to have access to the back end of this. I may also have a commercial team, an ops team, that all need to see the same plan. And it's important they all see the same plan in real time, because if something changes, which in the events world it absolutely will, last minute as well, guaranteed. So we've got that level of data there to help people really kind of get into the crux of the event. Now, what we might want to do is then use this collaboration tool to kind of help people understand how that event's going to work and perform. So if we say, for example, I might want to understand how quickly it would take for visitors to arrive at the local station, be dropped off, and get through the front gate. If I needed to do something like that, I could draw, if I can find my cursor, which I've now lost, there we go, a line here, over here, through to the front. And what I can do with my analytical tools here on the left-hand side is I can understand in metric or imperial. I'm going to do it in metric, of course. So I know how long that route journey is. I can actually work out what the walk time is. I'm actually going to work out what the flow rate is as well. So clearly, from a customer experience and a visitor experience perspective, that's really important. In terms of security and safety, it goes without saying, we need as organizers to understand how long it will take for visitors to get in and also how quickly they can exit a venue. And of course, this is from a festival perspective, but if you're organizing, say, a major conference, this could be a very useful tool, especially for those planning registration areas who will have the biggest question on their mind, which is, I'm going to have a major conference with a keynote opening session. I will tell all my visitors and delegates to get there nice and early. They won't. They'll turn up with 5 minutes to go, so you need to actually understand how many registration desks you will need, how many exits will need to be available for people to kind of come into the venue and leave again. So these are all the really useful tools that you'll have in the back end of the system. Keeping an eye on time, we're fairly close to the mark. So in terms of the other things that we have in the back end, there's a scheduler. Of course, for major international sporting events is super useful. We've also got a back end area for you to manage the teams and the access control levels. So that's really, really important, because again, you may have a sales team that are using this as a very efficient tool to sell the event, which they can have their own level of access. Alternatively, it might also just be operational teams that need to work and plan that event. In terms of key benefits and where the world is going at the moment, we're looking at sustainability, we're looking at making it easier to plan events. Our research and data has shown that major event organizers are able to spend 75% less time on the road, which means less flights, less site visits, because everyone can see the venue in a digital way. Very importantly, we're working with the Grand Prix in Las Vegas, which is this weekend coming up, I believe. That's a really good case study because no one can see what the venue looks like because it can't exist because you've got Las Vegas around it. So actually, without software like this, you wouldn't in any way, shape or form be able to plan that event to the level it needs to be for safety and security. I'm going to cut it short there. We are on a stand over the back there. I'm there with my lovely colleague Anna. We're here to answer any questions that you may have, but if you've got any questions now, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions? You sure? Yeah. Okay, they'll come by the booth. I just want to say, Matt, to say you're like day 2, is it, or day 3 of the role?
Yes.
It's like you've been working on this product all your life. It's incredible. I think you've given us a really good whistle-stop tour of this. If anyone's watching this, obviously it's being recorded. How can they find you afterwards?
Absolutely. So you can visit our website. We've actually got a 14-day free trial as well. So it's a really lovely way to kind of get to grips and learn. Platform, the website address is www.iventis, that's iventis.com.
And a little question from me. You took this job. What are you most excited about?
So for me, it's a couple of things. I come from the trade show world, and this has really been used to great success in major events. I can see this doing a fabulous job in the world of kind of large-scale conferences and exhibitions. I think there is a major gap in the market for what we provide, and I'm really just looking forward to educating that market and getting them using this and working with us.
That's really cool. I think you're doing a fantastic job of it, and it's been great having you here today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.